Today we'll prepare 2 vegan dishes that you can easily make with store-bought phyllo dough. We're making a spinach pie, also known as spanakopita in Greece and as ispanakli borek in Turkey, as well as baklava. These two are some of my favorite foods to eat in the entire world, so hopefully you'll understand why when you taste them too. And without further ado, let's get started.
In Turkey, almost everyone uses freshly made yufka for recipes like these. Instead today, we're using frozen phyllo dough. Contrary to popular belief, it's very easy to handle the delicate phyllo as long as you thaw it in the fridge overnight and keep it slightly moist. Once it's thawed, we'll spray 2 dish towels with water and keep the dough between them. This way, we're preventing it from drying out and flaking everywhere, so be sure to check and respray every 5 minutes or so. For our borek, we're using scallions, Italian parsley, spinach, dill, garlic, salt and pepper, lemon juice, firm tofu, and olive oil. It's very important to remove as much water as we can from the spinach in this recipe, and the easiest way to do that is to freeze and thaw. This process breaks down its cell walls and helps us to easily squeeze out its water. You can also do this by cooking it down instead. Either way, I've used about 20 ounces for the entire recipe, so Popeye won't be nagging you to eat more spinach anytime soon. Let's start by making the filling by adding the juice of 1 lemon into 1 crumbled block of firm tofu. Then mix the drained spinach with 5 chopped scallions, 1 bunch of chopped Italian parsley, 1 bunch of chopped dill, the tofu mixture, 2 cloves of minced garlic, and salt and pepper to taste. If you like spicy food, make sure to add some Aleppo or regular chili pepper flakes into the filling as well. It'll be really delicious. To put together our borek, brush the tray with olive oil and start layering. If your tray is a different size than the phyllo sheets, which most of them are, you can cut it in the same shape as your tray. But personally, I prefer folding the leftovers in for these bottom layers. Brush with olive oil in between each layer for maximum crispiness. But you can also do it in between every other layer to reduce the amount of oil that we're using. Overall, I've used about a cup of olive oil for this recipe. When you're halfway through the sheets, which was about 20 sheets in my case, you can add in the filling. Continue layering on top of the filling, brush with oil, then cut into rectangles. But make sure not to cut it the whole way through. We'll do that later after our borek is baked. At this point, you can sprinkle it with nigella and sesame seeds. Nigella, or black cumin seeds, complement this dish so well. Bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit until it's golden brown, which will take about 45 minutes to an hour. When your borek is out of the oven, allow for it to set, then cut into it all the way through. And you're done! I love serving this with some plant yogurt or pepper paste on the side. You can store borek in the fridge for about 3 to 4 days, and I'd recommend using a regular or toaster oven instead of a microwave for reheating. Now, let's make baklava. We're only using lemon juice, sugar, water, walnuts, and a cup of unsalted plant-based butter. Let's start by making the syrup. Mix 1 3/4 of a cup of sugar with 1 1/2 cups of water, and add the juice of 1 lemon. Then boil down until it thickens and set aside for it to cool. I like my baklava very crispy and not overly sweet. But if you want a more traditional, tooth-aching recipe that'll thoroughly disappoint your dentist, just double the amount of the syrup. For the filling, I prefer walnuts, but pistachios are also very popular. Whichever nut you choose, make sure to crush or chop them very well. For this recipe, I've used about 2 cups of walnuts. The process of making baklava is almost the same as that of making borek. We basically just swap the type of oil and the filling. After brushing the tray with plant butter, layer 2 sheets of phyllo and again generously brush with butter. Repeat until you're halfway through, then add in the walnuts. Layer the rest of your phyllo dough in plant butter, then cut it into any shape you prefer. Diamonds and squares are both very traditional. Unlike with borek, we're cutting into our baklava the whole way through prior to baking it. When you're done cutting, drizzle the leftover butter and bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit until it's golden brown. If it still doesn't have a good color to it after about 45 minutes, then increase the temperature to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and bake for another few minutes. When it's done baking, immediately pour in the cooled down syrup and set aside the baklava to cool. Remember to never keep baklava in the refrigerator unless you prefer it soggy. Instead, you can store it at room temperature for up to 3 to 4 days.
If you enjoyed this, please let me know down in the comments if you're team savory or team sweet. I myself have an insatiable sweet tooth, so I'm definitely in the latter group. If you're new around here, then consider subscribing to see more Mediterranean plant-based recipes in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and until we meet again in the next video, be well.